Okay, let's jump into a really fascinating story today. We're looking at the Candābhattheravatthu.
The story of the elder Candābha. And this one comes from the commentaries on the Dhammapada, that collection of the Buddha's sayings.
Right, the commentaries that sort of fill in the backstory for the verses.
Exactly. And they have this typical structure, right? The story from the past, something happening now, and then the teaching that connects it all.
Yeah, and it's such a great way to show how things like karma work, cause and effect, across different lives.
Definitely. And how one action can lead to something totally unexpected later on
Yeah.
and, well, ultimately point towards freedom.
So our goal here is to really follow that thread. We're tracing this guy's journey from like one specific action way back when to this very unusual thing he's born with later, and then how he figures out what real spiritual freedom, real purity means.
Now, we'll touch on karma, definitely, but also this contrast between, say, worldly power and spiritual power, transformation,
Yeah.
what it means to be a true brahmana in this sense.
Okay. And the main players to start are a merchant from Borasasi, Varanasi, and just a humble mountain worker.
Right, setting the stage.
So let's start with the merchant. Rich guy, 500 carts, travels to the borderlands looking for something specific. What is it?
Sandalwood. Candana, clearly valuable stuff. He gets there and, well, he does something a bit weird.
Oh.
He asks these local cowherd kids about a specific mountain worker. Not just generally, but someone he seems to already know about.
And the kids know him. They give him the info.
They do. They tell him the worker's name, his wife's name, the kids' names, even where they live. It's a lot of detail for a stranger to be asking.
That is strange. So he goes to the house.
Yep. Knocks on the door, calls the wife by her name. Imagine her surprise.
Oh.
She lets him in. He asks for his friend, the worker, using his name, and then, get this, he rattles off the names of all the children, too.
He knows all their names. The wife, the kids. How is he just super prepared, or?
It feels very intentional, doesn't it? Like he's really trying to build instant rapport. And then he leaves gifts, clothes, ornaments for everyone,
Not just for the worker.
for the whole family, plus an extra set just for the worker for when he gets back from the forest.
Okay, that's quite an investment up front. He's definitely playing a long game, maybe.
Seems like it. The wife, naturally, is very hospitable and tells her husband all about this rich visitor who knew everything and left presents.
So the worker comes home, hears this story, then the merchant meets him that evening.
That's right. And the merchant basically asks, so what do you usually see down by the mountain?
And the worker, probably thinking it's a bit random, says,
He says basically nothing much, just everyday stuff. Except there are lots of trees with red branches.
Ah, the magic words, red branches.
Exactly. The merchant immediately perks up. Red branches, lots of them. The worker confirms, yeah, loads of them.
And that's it. That's the sandalwood he was after, red sandalwood.
Precisely. The worker shows them the spot, they chop them down, and fill up all 500 carts. Mission accomplished for the merchant.
But he doesn't just pay and leave, right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
more to it.
Right. He tells the worker, look, next time you come to Bodhitesi, only bring these red branch trees, just this stuff, and I'll make you rich.
So he's setting up like an exclusive supply deal.
Yeah, basically. A long-term thing focused just on this red sandalwood. Now, the story jumps forward quite a bit.
Okay.
It's after the Parinibbana, the passing away of the previous Buddha, Kassapa Buddha, and people are building this big golden stupa, a satya, in his honor.
A memorial shrine, basically.
Exactly. And our mountain worker shows up in Varanasi, presumably still in this trade, with a big load of sandalwood.
And the merchant?
The merchant takes him to see the satya being built. They make an offering together, but then the worker does something very specific.
This must be the key deed.
It is. The text says he specifically made a circle like the moon with sandalwood on the belly of the satya.
A moon circle with sandalwood on the stupa. That's
That's
precise.
Very precise, and the commentary points right at it.
Mm-hmm.
This was his former deed. That specific act is the cause we're looking for.
Okay, so that's the cause. What's the effect? The outflow, as the text puts it.
Well, the immediate result after he died was rebirth in a Deval world, a heavenly realm. And not just for a short time, for a whole Buddha interval. That's an unimaginably long period.
Wow. Okay. And then?
Then, in the time of our Buddha, Gautama, he's reborn on Earth, but into a really high-status family, a prominent Brahmana family in Rajagaha.
And the connection to the moon circle deed.
It manifested physically. From birth, a light like moonlight shone from his navel.
From his navel.
Seriously. And the text explicitly links it. Because of this, they named him Candābha, moonlight, This is the outflow result of making a moon circle at the Satya.
Mm.
His name literally reflects that past action.
A light from his navel. That's incredible. So his family, this prestigious Brahmana family, how did they react? Did they see it as like a spiritual sign?
Not quite. They saw it as an opportunity. They thought, wow, with this light, we can basically consume the world, meaning get super rich and powerful.
Ah, so they decided to monetize the miracle light.
Totally. They built this whole sort of traveling show around him, put him on a vehicle, paraded him around, telling everyone, touch Candābha, gain power, gain wealth.
And did people buy it?
They did. Paid huge sums, hundreds, thousands, even 100,000, just for a touch. It shows you how people crave that external sign of luck or power.
So they're traveling around, making money off this light.
Hmm.
Where does the Buddha come in?
They eventually end up in Savatthi. And there, they run into some of the Buddha's noble disciples heading to the monastery, the vihara, to see the teacher.
Okay, a contrast is being set up here.
Definitely. The brahmanas are boasting about Candābha's amazing light power. The disciples, they have faith in the Buddha's power, which is obviously something different.
So it leads to a challenge, like let's see whose power is greater.
Pretty much. They all agree to go to the vihara and compare.
All right, the showdown. Candābha approaches the Buddha. What happens?
Instantly, the moment he gets near the Buddha, poof, the light vanishes.
Just gone.
Completely gone. The text has this amazing description. He became like a crow in a basket of embers, just dark, ordinary, completely overshadowed.
Wow, that's a put down. Does it stay gone?
No, that's the thing. They lead him away from the Buddha. The light comes back. They bring him near again. It disappears. Back and forth.
So the Buddha is clearly controlling it, demonstrating his own power.
Exactly. It's undeniable.
Yeah.
But Candābha, seeing this, doesn't think, oh, spiritual mastery. He thinks
it's a trick, a technique.
Yeah, basically. He concludes the Buddha must know the mantra for the disappearance of light, like it's a magic spell.
So he just asks him.
Straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the mantra for the disappearance of light? And the Buddha says,
Yes.
Yes, I know. Which must have thrilled Candābha.
Right. Because now he thinks he can get it too, so he asks for it.
Immediately. Then give it to me. But the Buddha says, hold on. This teaching, this mantra, it's only for those who've renounced. Only for monks.
Ah, there's the condition. So Candābha, wanting this mantra so badly, he ordains.
He does. He tells his family, wait here, I'll just quickly become a monk, get the mantra, and then I'll be the most powerful guy around. Totally missing the point.
Right. So he gets ordained. Does the Buddha give him a mantra?
Not in the way Candābha expected. The Buddha teaches him the meditation on the 32 parts of the body.
Skin, hair, teeth, bones. That contemplation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Analyzing the body into its, less than glamorous components. And the Buddha frames it cleverly. He says, this is the preliminary practice for the mantra. You should recite this.
Ah, so it's presented as a step towards the goal Candābha thinks he wants, but it's actually the path to something entirely different.
Precisely. It's the path towards the real disappearance, the end of suffering, the end of rebirth, not just turning off a light.
And while he's practicing this, the brahmanas keep checking in. Got the mantra yet?
Yeah, and he keeps saying, not yet, not yet. He's actually getting absorbed in the real practice now.
And does it work? Does he get enlightened?
He does. And quickly. The text says, in just a few days, through this contemplation, he reaches arahantship. Full liberation. Destroys all the taints.
Wow. Okay, so the next time the brahmanas ask.
His answer is totally different. He tells them, you guys can go. Me. I am now one whose nature is not to go.
Not to go, meaning?
Meaning he's done with the cycle, done with samsara, the endless round of birth and death. And arahant doesn't go on to another rebirth. He's free. His journey in that sense is over.
That's powerful. But the other monks, they hear this and get confused because he didn't get the light mantra.
Yeah, they're still focused on the original superficial goal. They think maybe he's, bluffing or something.
The Buddha clarifies.
The Buddha steps in and says, no, he's telling the absolute truth. He is one whose nature is not to go because he's destroyed the taints. He's an arahant.
And this is where the Dhammapada verse comes in, defining the real meaning of brahmana.
Exactly. The Buddha then gives this stanza. Whose is stainless, vimalai, pure sutai, serene vipassana, undisturbed anavale, whose delight in existence is destroyed, nadhyavaparikik, the one I call a brahmana.
Not about birth, not about external signs like light, but about inner qualities.
Right, and the commentary breaks down those terms. Stainless like a clear sky, free of the clouds of defilements. Pure is just that, totally without defilements. Serene is a clear, calm mind. Undisturbed means free from anything that muddies the mind.
And the last one, whose delight in existence is destroyed.
That means the craving, the fundamental drive that keeps us wanting to be reborn, wanting to exist in any realm that's gone, completely extinguished.
So the Buddha brilliantly uses Candābha's physical light, which was, moon-like, stainless, serene in appearance,
as an analogy for the internal state of an arahant. That deep inner purity and peace, that's what makes someone a true brahmana in the spiritual sense.
Amazing. And hearing this explanation, others in the audience also made spiritual progress.
Yes. The story ends by saying, many attained various stages of enlightenment just from hearing that discourse.
What a journey. Seriously. From this one almost quirky past deed,
Making that moon circle with sandalwood.
leading to this very visible, physical thing, this light that gets totally exploited.
Right. Treated as a source of worldly gain.
Which then leads him to seek what he thinks is a magic trick, a mantra.
But that quest gets redirected into deep internal work, the contemplation of the body.
And that leads to genuine liberation, real inner stainlessness. It just completely flips the script on what power or purity even means.
It really does. It makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of power are you chasing? Is it the external stuff, the status, the wealth, the validation, like Candābha's family wanted?
Or is it that inner freedom, that resilience, that clarity that comes from, actually doing the inner work?
And what about that preliminary practice, the stuff that seems maybe boring or difficult or not the quick fix we want?
Like meditating on body parts might seem not glamorous?
Exactly. Could that seemingly mundane practice actually be the unexpected path to the real mantra, the real liberation we're looking for deep down?
Yeah. And what are the red branch trees in our own lives? What are those seemingly ordinary things right in front of us that, if we saw them clearly, understood their value, and maybe offered them in the right spirit,
Could lead to something extraordinary, something truly transformative, definitely something to chew on.